But you talked about disclosing the cost of the Rwanda project, Prime Minister, and you have repeated the line that it must be disclosed on an annual basis. It is perfectly normal and within the normal accounting rules in terms of reporting to the Public Accounts Committee and the departmental committees, in this case the Home Affairs Select Committee, to report on projects on a different basis, especially something that's a flagship. This is a flagship policy of yours, Prime Minister. So producing information in the annual accounts, which is 15 months after the last £100 million payment was made to Rwanda, is not acceptable. What is the problem about just being open and honest about something you signed off as Chancellor that you're now championing as Prime Minister that's a 5-year programme? What's the secrecy?
Because, as we've been very clear, it may well be that we want to have other conversations with other countries.
Okay, which other countries are you thinking of having a conversation with?
But again, it wouldn't be right to talk about these things if we're having private conversations with countries about potential alternatives to add to our Rwanda policy. We've always been clear that that is something that the government would like to
Prime
explore.
Minister, I've been on the Public Accounts Committee now for 12 years, and I'm aware of lots of things that are talked about as being commercially confidential. And then when we ask to see the papers, they're not at all. I cannot see, nor can other members of my committee, what is commercially confidential about this that won't be commercially confidential when the accounts are produced. There isn't an arbitrary timeline when something stops being commercially confidential and then does. And is no longer confidential. There is no reason to have a 15-month delay between payments being made. The only reason this money was revealed was because somebody in Rwanda, possibly inadvertently, we don't know, there's an inquiry going on, released it to the International Monetary Fund, which itself is instructive, is it not?
I think we probably just have a different point of view on this. I think
No, Prime Minister, can I be clear? I chair the Public Accounts Committee, a constitutional committee of over 160 years standing, cross-party with 5 parties on it. I'm not playing a party political point. This is a public accounting point. You have been a renowned Chancellor of the Exchequer, took us through COVID. I think you understand those rules very clearly. So can we just be really clear? Why are you not sharing with Parliament and the public the money being spent on the Rwanda scheme? It's a 5-year project. You signed it off as Chancellor. You must have been content then, despite you now having to pass legislation to operationalisation it. Why did you not think about asking those questions then? You must have been asking those questions. Why can't you share that money with the money with us?
Again, there's a balance to be struck. There is annual transparency of these numbers to Parliament. I think that strikes
Prime
the right
Minister,
balance.
it is not the normal transparency, Prime Minister, that is provided on other big projects, like, for example, High Speed 2, take one. I could give you many other examples. We were receiving 6 monthly reports laid to Parliament. That is the normal approach, and it is normal to negotiate this with the Public Accounts Committee on a routine basis. We do that regularly with other departments. It's a flagship policy of yours. What is there to hide? There should be nothing to hide.
The scale of HS2 compared to this, obviously, just by order of magnitude, very different. Phase 1
so it's
of
about
HS2
the scale of the project.
Again, all these things will be, there's an appropriate balance. HS2 was the single biggest project that the government is undertaking. The cost for phase 1, which we'll be aware of, well north of 40
Okay, well, I just make the final observation.
Very, very different.
The HS2 6-monthly reporting was because the counting officer agreed with the Public Accounts Committee on a method and a frequency of reporting, and that is the normal thing that we often negotiate with departments. So I hope you could give some succour to the Home Office that if they do similarly, they will have your full backing. Thank you.
Maybe there will be some correspondence about this matter. But I think it's interesting you've suggested the government is in conversation with third countries.
I didn't say that it was. I said that if it was, that would clearly be a reason that it would want to make sure it had the ability to conduct those conversations in private.